Streaming is on.
Welcome to Stunt Hangar Video Hangout. This is Friday, October 23rd, and I'd like to invite you to our Hangout where we talk about model aviation. We talk about flying, we talk about building, competing, we talk about repairing model airplanes. Um, and I'd like to encourage you to keep the conversation family room friendly and not say anything you wouldn't want to say around your children or grandchildren. And also like to encourage you to support the channel by becoming a member. We have memberships starting at $4.99. It's a three-tiered uh, commitment, and it helps support Sparky with the acquisition of equipment and going to these contests and actually filming live events. Um, and it's not cheap to do that. Not to mention him, what he does on his channel. He does a lot of building videos, and it really helps to promote the hobby. And he's personally invested a lot in that. So also, if you don't want to do the monthly thing, you can do the super chat, which is under the chat box uh, on YouTube. And also, if you have a camera and a microphone, you can come on into the program live and actually talk with us and see us and hear us live. And we can see you and hopefully hear you and all that. And to do that, you need to come into stunthangar.com/SMF. That's S as in Sunset, Michael, and Frank. And if you are a member, you'll see the link at the bench. It's below a lot of other links, but it's called At the Bench. Now, if you're not a member, you can register using your real first and last name. You need to put a space between it, and you must have a valid email address, and Sparky most likely will approve you. If you have some resistance, let me know. You can leave a comment on the YouTube channel. Sparky should get the question. I'm not always on his channel, but I have my own channel, by the way. It's called Flying Control Line Stunt, if you go to YouTube. But Sparky's channel is Stunt Hangar. Let me see here. What else? What's there? Anyways, you know what? I'm going to go and post a link so that the other guests can come inside. But you can also communicate with us on the YouTube side on the chat box. You can put your comments and questions there. I really do my darndest to involve you in the conversation. And so, don't hesitate to participate there. Sometimes there's some great questions there or comments, and some of them are funny, as a matter of fact. So it really adds to the programming. So let me go ahead and post the link. And let's see here. And I have two monitors. So that's why I'm looking away. Uh, so the link is being posted right now on Stunt Hangar forum. So anyways, look forward to having some guests come in. We had a really good program last Monday. We actually, I think it was Monday, we talked about plywood construction. A balsa is becoming scarce and expensive, and Dennis Adamison showed us how he built a plane predominantly out of plywood. Really thin plywood, obviously, but just the same plywood. So there's a way to still build a light plane using plywood. That was really interesting, matter of fact. And then John Miller, he talked about uh, the control system, the geometry. I'm still uh, trying to understand the geometry of the planes. I usually just kind of do what people suggest, and that's how I build my planes. But I don't personally have a understanding of it, and I'm really curious to see how things work. And he did a really good job. Matter of fact, the thumbnail on our channel on the last program is the shot of what John did. Hey, you guys. Hey, Gary and Tom. Thanks for coming in, you guys.
Charles. Hey, Gary.
I was just talking about a program we had Monday and how Dennis Adamison talked about plywood construction, and then John Miller's discussion on the geometry. And we've had some really good shows. As a matter of fact, the one prior to that, unfortunately, it didn't get, the whole thing did not get streamed, but that was a really good program. I was just amazed at that. Anyways, what you guys been up to?
I've
Anybody?
been trying to learn the software for the laser cutter. There's
Uh-oh.
the CAD software and then the CAM software to generate the G code and then software that sends it to the machine. I'm getting there. I still have some things to figure out yet, but it's coming along.
Yeah, it's not too fun learning something. Sometimes it's kind of awkward, you know. I kind of correlate it to trying to learn how to do a new dance. You know, you feel awkward trying to do it.
Well, I started a baby flight streak yesterday.
All right.
It's a product kit.
All right, let me click on you, Bill. All right, I see you now. Wow. Baby flight streak. Very cool.
And I'm really impressed with the quality of that kit.
Well, great. That's great news. That is awesome. Now, what impresses you about the quality, particularly about the kit? What do you mean?
Well, the parts fit good. The balsa seam's good. The plans are good. There's a nice instruction book. There's a little booklet about flying control line. And they use braided cable, you know, for the lead out instead of music wire.
Wow.
And
that does sound good.
The other thing is it's got this
streaming is on.
This interlocking construction of the spar. I guess some people call it egg crate, some people call it clamshell, but it's what George Aldrich used. And the ribs just fit into slots, and the wing just.
Oh yes, yeah. The Nobler is kind of like that.
Yeah.
You have a spar that has slots in it, right?
Right.
It's on top of the ribs, and they kind of join. The ribs has a half slot, and it comes together that way, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's a D tube. That forms a D tube with the egg crating. This is more of a C tube, or a C tube without shear webs.
All right.
The one you have there in your hand. That's got spars top and bottom.
Or is that spar one piece, or is that spar two pieces, Bill?
Well, it's one piece, and then there's, you know, two small spars on the very top of it. But the ribs, you know, they're cut halfway in, and then the spar is cut halfway in, and part of the ribs go one through the bottom and part go through the top.
But then there's a spar on top and bottom of that as well?
Yeah, a small spar.
Can you hold that up closer to the camera? Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's shear. It's, yeah. Uh-huh.
Right
So
there.
like a C tube with a D tube component in it as well.
Looks like you've made good progress in one day.
Well, yeah, it's just like, you know, when the parts fit together, it just seems like it motivates you to keep building, you know. It's when you have to fit things, so those things that you kind of lose interest.
Now, this was produced by Brodak, is that correct?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's good to hear a good thing about that. That's good.
Are you gonna
Hi, Bob.
electric, or are you building it electric or IC?
I think I've got some different 049s I could use. I got TD, I got a AME, I got a Fox FAI. I got plenty of 049, so.
Oh, fantastic. That's great. Well, I went flying today. Took out my red Strega, which Bob is very familiar with. Seen me fly that. What do you call that plane? A lumber wagon?
The what?
Yeah. My red Strega. You call it a lumber wagon?
No, I always say it's impressive to see that much balsa wood in the air at one time.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I went and flew that today, and a little bit frustrating, but it's a new engine I put in it. And I'm just working out the new engine. I put it in stock, and then I remembered that the previous motor, it wasn't in a stock configuration, so I took out some of the head shims, and I wanted to increase the venturi to get the kind of performance I was accustomed to. So it's just kind of a work in progress. I had to do that because the older motor, I think it has bad bearings, so I got to get around to replacing the bearings in the old motor. I might even put that old motor back in there, so I don't have to fool around with trying to get the performance I'm used to. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. Down here in sunny Florida for the King Orange stunt contest. We got in yesterday and spent the whole day flying today. Flew our stunt planes a little bit, and then we spent the day bashing combat stuff together. So.
Oh, fantastic! I was on YouTube and I saw the video by Will Davis showing your son flying at the Nats.
Oh yeah.
And that's a good video. That was good. I really liked it. I really hadn't seen much of Sam flying stunt. I've seen more Sam flying combat. Some of the videos I've missed were the stunt, so it was refreshing to see that. He did a good job. And
yeah,
he's kind of like nervous. This guy's only, what, 8 or 9?
No,
Guy's
he's
9.
12 in August, but he's going to give him a run for their money tomorrow in intermediate, and we'll see what happens. So.
By the way, Mike, I'm working on your Intrepid as we speak here.
Okay. Yeah, no rush, Bob. Just whenever you get her done.
Yeah. Well, I figured you said there was no rush, but it came up in the pile, so,
Yep. No rush at all. Just tell me when I got to send you money.
Well, you can send me money anytime you want.
Well,
you can do it every day if you want. I don't care.
Present, Bob. I can say that. I'm not paying for it, but my wife is. That's my Christmas present, is your wings. So.
Fantastic. Hey, I see a new guest. I don't think John Parrish, I don't think you've never been here. That's awesome.
I stumbled across the channel, thought I'd see if I could get in or not.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You and I met at the first time we met at Brodax in 2016.
Yep.
Met your daughter Grace and your grandson, and that was the first time you met. And then I saw you at the Nats in 2019 as well. So that's good to see you.
Yep. I just thought I'd stop in and see what this was all about. Maybe hang out for a little bit.
Hey, John, how are you doing?
I'm good. How you been?
Good. I got that. You sent me a note sometime back. I forgot what it was about, but I got a note from you.
Yeah, there was a guy brought one of Genesis that you had sold him over.
Oh yeah, Bob Morse, right?
Right. Yep. Yeah. And I had a chance to fly it. It was interesting plane. I mean, I just did maybe about a 4-minute flight with it, but it was different. I hadn't flown anything like that before.
Did he still have the OS VFR in it?
Yeah, the 40.
Yeah.
Yep.
FSR, not VFR. FSR.
Right, the FSR. Right.
It's got the Garner liner and Dykes ring in it. It's a nice motor.
Right. Yeah. We got it fired up and running, and he put a flight up on it, and I put a flight up on it, and then that was it. He was done.
Did it still fly good?
Yeah, it was a little bit hard to land. It didn't want to come down and touch down. I don't know if it was.
It's light.
Yeah, it was light. I mean, it flew fine, but when I was trying to set it down, I was expecting it to drop down. It just takes a lot of airspeed to bleed off before it settles in.
Yeah. That was a good airplane. I wanted to buy that back from him. I sold it to him for $50 with the engine, in a weak moment. And
right.
I said, "You want to sell it back?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "How much you willing to pay for it?" I said, "Well, how about I quadruple your money? I'll send, give you $200 for it." He says, "Oh no, I want like 1,000 or something for it." I said,
yeah, I guess he had that hanging up and it dropped and it shattered a lot of stuff, but he rebuilt it. It looks really nice.
Oh.
So he did a good job with it, and everything seemed to be, pretty straight. I watched him fly, and when I flew it, everything hung out there good. I just, the engine wasn't tuned in exactly where it needed to be, but it was pretty close.
Yeah.
So I got a chance to play around with it a little bit.
That was a good airplane to me.
So the weather's a little different here in Minnesota than down in Florida, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I bet that's Tom showing all the double dandruff around up there, man.
We got 4 inches of snow here.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Let me click on that, Tom.
And Sam got
Wow.
a sun neck today.
We're supposed to get 4 inches this weekend yet, too. An additional 4.
Oh my gosh.
I think Saturday night it's supposed to snow again.
It's just warm enough. I live in the southeast part of the state, and we don't have snow.
Wow, Tom. So much for walking out in your backyard and going flying, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Tom, I guess you're putting skis on all your RC.
Hey, I have some with
instead of
skis
floats,
on it.
right?
But I think I'll
know
wait
you
till
do.
the
I'll
lake
bet you
freezes over and then go out on the lake and fly that one.
Weren't we just talking about you putting your boats away like 2 weeks ago or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Not that long ago, you were putting boats away, and now you got 4 inches of snow.
Yep.
All right, John Paris, one last thing. I did meet your wife also at Rodax. In case she's listening, she goes, you know what? Charles didn't even mention me, and I met him also. So I don't want her to feel dissed if she's listening. So I met your wife there at Rodax also.
Yeah, she's sitting here right next to me. Was just complaining about that, Charles. Thanks.
Hey, John.
Well, tell her I said hi. Tell her to come in and say hi. We don't have enough women come in here. I know Lynn's wife has come in before, but we don't have too many women come in.
Hey, John, did you get a call from the Mark Smith?
Who?
Mark Smith. I gave somebody
No.
a number. He was looking for CAD work.
Oh, appreciate that. No, I haven't heard anything from him.
Lynn's wife has come in before, but we don't have too many women come in. Oh, we're getting an echo.
Did you get a call from the Mark Smith?
Oh, hey,
Someone
Sam.
got YouTube on.
I gave somebody a number. He was looking for CAD work. Wow.
Wow, that is a long delay.
Lynn's wife has come in before, but we don't have too many women come in. Someone might have their YouTube on, but their YouTube. Can you turn it off, please? Oh,
Someone got YouTube on.
I gave somebody a number. He was looking for CAD work. Wow.
Wow, that is a long delay.
Lynn's wife has come in before, but we don't have too many women come in. Someone might have their YouTube on, but their can you turn it off, please? Oh,
Someone got YouTube on.
I gave somebody a number. He was looking for CAD work. Wow.
Wow, that is a long delay.
Lynn's wife has come in before, but we don't have too many women come in. Someone might have their YouTube on, but their I'm working on this, you guys. Hang on.
Someone got YouTube on.
I got an idea. Hang on. Okay. I think it's gone. I wasn't able to fix it. Can you guys hear me still?
Yes.
All right, great. It got so quiet. Thought you guys were all muted, but
I got you.
great.
Went into a wormhole there for a minute.
Yeah.
Anyway, Bob, I appreciate it. No, I haven't heard from Mark.
Okay. Well, you may,
Yeah, I appreciate the referral.
So, Mike, I was going to ask you about the contest from last weekend, and now you're at another one.
Yeah, last weekend I finished first in advanced profile. Sam took first in intermediate profile. On Sunday, I took first in PA, and Sam took second in PA in intermediate. And we flew a bunch of combat. We tore up, I don't know, half a dozen airplanes down in
How far are you beating up on your kid?
Yeah, well, I have to
You know,
keep them. But he ended up, he came home with a new Pathfinder ARF and a bi-slob, and we won a couple gallons of fuel in the raffle, which was nice.
Yeah.
And now we're at King Orange here in Florida near Lake City, and we're hoping to bring home some hardware tomorrow and Sunday too. But if we don't, that's okay.
Hey,
You
well,
know, combat flyers remind me of dyed-in-the-wool, hot-to-go free flighters. They're never so happy as when a plane flies away.
Well, we only brought 4 airplanes, and we flew about 8 matches today, and our last one was a doozy, man. We had a pretty good midair. So we had broken one earlier that we stuffed in the ground. So we were down to 1 combat plane. We only had 1 plane left. Wow. So I took 2 of them over to Ron Waldron's shop, and I sawed the wing off on his bandsaw, and then I cut a wing off of one of the other crashed ones, and I scabbed them together, put some spars in them, and then wrapped it with packing tape. So now we got 2 airplanes again for tomorrow. So
Ron Waldron's place is pretty amazing, isn't it?
Say again?
Mike Waldron's place is pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, really is, man. Really, it's beautiful field too, man. Beautiful field.
And a lot of toys.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, it's I don't know what kind of turnout we're gonna have. The Florida guys are all here, of course. Bob Whitney, Rick Osborne, Dave Hallis. The Waldrons are here. The Smith brothers are here. Wayne and Jim. Alan Buck made it down from Pennsylvania. He drove down. Yeah, I guess he came down and he left on Tuesday, but he stopped at John Rake's for a day, and then he stopped at Watt Moore's for a day. So he got in this morning.
Yeah, he and Watt are good.
Yeah, I don't know. Tony Onimus is here too from North Carolina. Tony's here.
When you were over at Mike's, did you see his new Ferrari?
I did not. Well, no, I wasn't at Mike's house. We're at Ron's house.
Oh, Ron's house. Okay. Mike's got a new Ferrari.
Yeah, we're at Ron's house. So.
Among his other many toys, you know.
Oh yeah, I know. Hopefully, we get a few more people show up, but I think we got 5 in advance right now, so that's good. That's at least there'll be a couple losers. You know.
Is Orestes there? Orestes Hernandez?
I haven't seen him yet, but I heard he was coming. I did hear that. So, Peter, are you going to make it over here? You live in Florida. Are you coming tomorrow?
I think he must be muted out.
Who are you talking to?
Oh,
Peter.
Peter.
Do me a favor, Mike. When you see Orestes, say hello to him for me and tell him once more thank you. He'll know what I'm talking about.
I'll do it, Bob. If he makes
Bob
it up,
says thanks again. He's a great guy.
All right. Well, listen, I'm gonna hit the crib, man. It's late here, and we got to be there early. So
good.
I'll check in with y'all Monday and let you know how the contest went.
Fly good.
Okay.
Good luck, Mike.
See you, Mike.
We'll see you.
See ya. Oh, that was great.
So, Bob, did Orestes teach you how to make foam wings?
What's that?
Did Orestes teach you how to make foam wings?
No, he just did a very nice thing for me, an incredibly nice thing, and I'm sure it's not something he wants everybody know.
I understand.
I'm
just being
nice
smart of it.
He's a great guy.
I was just being a smart.
Not to mention not a half shabby flyer,
No, that's true. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Gee, it's like a
and he does it so effortlessly.
Hey guys, are we having sound problems? That was me that was causing them problems. I rebooted my whole computer.
Oh, thanks, Steve. I kind of suspected it was you, Steve, but I didn't want to call you out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I could tell because my sound thing was just doing crazy shit. Crazy crap.
$1 in the jar.
I know.
Did you see my picture before?
No.
I don't remember. No, I don't think so.
No, I didn't see
No,
it.
Gary, you were just a black screen.
Yeah, I tried about 3 times. I got it. Didn't get your pictures. You had no sound, so I didn't know what.
By the way, hi, Eddie.
Hey,
Hi,
Yeah,
Peter. If
can you
you're
hear me okay?
Hi, guys.
and hi, John.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Where did
All
John
right,
Harris go?
I'm on my son's laptop, so I didn't know how it was going to turn out.
What was that, Steve?
What happened to John Paris? He get booted?
No, he's still. I see his initials. I think he's just. I don't know if he changes camera settings or what, but
I turned my camera off.
okay.
Didn't need you guys looking at my ugly face.
Oh man, you're no
He's,
no worse than any
he's
of us.
changing into pajamas.
Damn, John, I was going to have you show him that SV11 you won with my ticket last year. And you turned your
I should.
camera
I
off.
haven't been flown yet.
I still got my gallon of fuel.
How come you didn't give that to me too? You know that's my brand.
I know it. I'm saving it for you.
All right.
Yeah, you guys probably didn't hear that about that, did you?
Hear about what?
FCM, I had to leave, so I gave John my raffle ticket.
Uh-huh.
And I said, see if I win anything. He called me up the next day. He said, yeah, you won a gallon of fuel. I won an air.
So do you suspect that your ticket won the MC11 and his ticket won the gas?
I don't know, but I just poke him with that all the time.
Yeah, that's
I should leave him alone though, because this year he had my ticket because I didn't go at all. I just had him pay and get a ticket for me. I didn't win nothing.
Yeah,
So-
but this year I took a picture of it, put the letter S on your ticket, just in case.
So anybody doing any flying or anything lately? Or building or anything unique?
Building. Got my twin going together. I got the tail in. I got the top shell on and control hooked up and everything. And probably next week I'll be putting the nacelles on and getting ready for finish.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
And maybe John can tell us about, have you finished with that primer? From
Yeah, I did. I've been using some Harbor Freight sandable primer that Steve told me about. It sprays on thick. So I was hitting it with 400 to try and cut it down, but it was taking me, like, to do one stab, it took me, I don't know, about 40 minutes
Wow.
to get it sanded out. So after I was about 90% of the way done, I started using 220 on some of the other pieces, and that took it down a lot quicker than I finished up with 400. So that was definitely a lot faster way to do it. It seems to cover pretty good. It seems to stick pretty good. I haven't painted anything over top of it yet. I'm hoping it'll adhere. I think it should be okay. Done a test tape or a test piece with some tape and made sure it would stick to the wood and stick to the dope, everything. So it all looks good. I just need to try the next step is all.
Yeah, I've been buying cans of it whenever I go into Harbor Freight. I just go with my coupon, my 20% off coupon, and buy a can. If I can't find anything else, I usually buy cans. I think I have like 4 cans of it right now.
it seems to fill real nice on spots that, like it thickens good, but you sand it all off anyway, so you don't have to do it a whole bunch of times.
Right. Yeah. It seems like a single coat over a piece is probably more than enough. I wasn't expecting it to be quite as thick as it was. It does take a good amount of elbow grease to get it to come off. Higher grit sandpaper, I think 220 is a good place to start with it and finish with 320 or 400.
I wonder if you was to heat the can, gently with a hair dryer, shake it really well and just heat the can up a little bit. I wonder if that would make it come out a little thinner.
I think just the material itself, because I sprayed this, it was fairly warm. It's just the way it came out. And it may have been that I sprayed a little bit thick. You know, maybe if I would have dusted it better, it wouldn't have been as thick. But that was my first try, and I was trying out some fixtures to hold the pieces I was spraying out. Like I said, it sands pretty good. It doesn't load the paper up, which is a good thing. But it just was a little bit thicker than what I would have liked.
So it's the sandable kind?
Right, sandable. Harbor Freight sandable primer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cheap. It dries
Could you use
fast.
drywall sandpaper on it? Plug it up?
Say again?
Could you use the drywall sandpaper to keep it from clogging up? Would that work?
I didn't have any problem with the paper clogging up. Even at 400, it wouldn't clog up. It dusted off real good.
Just took too long?
Just took too long with 400. With 220, it came off real easy.
I'll make a note of that.
Looks like Peter's making progress on his wing.
Yeah, it does.
Let me click on Peter and make him bigger.
Yeah.
You always wanted to be big, right, Peter?
Is that what it
No. So we got half. We got one wing half done on the Saginaw. I'm just now setting up the other ribs to complete the other half. But there lies another problem with the kit, where there is a discrepancy, and there's I don't know whether the hardware, or not the hardware, but the wood's supposed to be there or not, because on the plans there, it has to do with the landing gear block in the wing. Okay, so we have these cutouts for the in the ribs for the landing gear blocks, 1, 2, 3 in the ribs, right. And we have the landing gear block that's provided, and that pops in there like that, right? Yeah. No problem. That's fine. Lines up with the plans, and it lines up with the instruction booklet. Now, on the back side of this, there's supposed to be what they call a torsion block right here. That's supposed to span that rib, go vertically like this.
Right.
So, where you get, I don't know if I can find them somewhere. When you have the landing gear, obviously I can't find the landing gear at the moment, but anyway, the wire, you drill a hole on the inboard side,
right,
of the landing gear block, and you're supposed to drill it all the way through once that it's epoxied into a block back here.
Right.
So, your landing gear, you basically landing gear wire comes out like this. This is a Z bend, goes along the slot, and then it's got another bend that goes this way, so it doesn't, do that thing. However, there is no landing gear block included in the kit.
Will you cut it? Peter, you cut it off the end of that block? Just cut off the end of that block.
Yeah, that's why that block
is short. I thought I would do that. However, in the instruction book, it calls for the block to be 1 inch by, I forget what it is, 1.5 inches, 1 inch by 1.5 inches by 3/8. What I have here is nowhere big enough to make it to span that rib from here to the top. It's just not long enough. You
really don't need the spur block to be that tall. That's right.
Yeah, I kind of do, because if you look at the way the rib is cut out,
yeah,
all of this, there's nothing here for. It's got to basically go from the ply, because there's a plywood piece in here. Okay. There's plywood here and plywood up here, but there's nothing in between it. Nothing in between that space. It's just, if I take out the false
plywood in there and just make a shorter spur block. I make mine only 1/2 inch high.
You see what it looks like? It looks like this.
Yeah.
And the block fits in there like this.
Right.
And if the thing is, if I cut the end of the block off, what it ends up is it's never going to make it to. It's never going to make it up here.
I mean,
halfway.
Put a little piece of plywood in the open in the open area of that rib, just top to bottom.
I can't do it on the inboard side because then it gets in the way of the lead out guy. The lead outs. I can do it on the outboard side, can't do it on the inboard side because that's exactly roughly where the lead outs come out.
Will both the spur block going up that high hit the lead outs as well?
Yes, it will.
You gotta have that spur block. It actually probably might.
Yeah, it will.
It will.
Why don't you move the bell crank forward?
Funky in Denmark.
Move the bell crank forward or aft so that the lead outs don't interfere with that.
Yeah.
Position's not important.
Yeah, well, it was a kit. I didn't think I'd have to make such drastic changes to it because the way the wing joins in the center, it's got plywood mounts that kind of fit into already cut slots. Yeah, I got this. This is one of the bell crank mounts, and that's kind of cut to fit in a certain location on the wing. In the middle, I don't have it blocked out yet because I'm not ready to join the wing halves, and that kind of doesn't give me a whole lot of room to move the bell crank forward.
You're not making it RC.
I'll figure it out. But
yeah, you will figure it out.
I just wanted to make that point.
Doesn't it give you two of them, Peter? Isn't that a floating bell crank?
Yes.
Yeah, you got to mark it. If you watch Sparky's video, he'll show you how to mark it and cut it in.
No, I'm just mentioning this. I don't know how many people might be watching it that may not have a lot of building experience, so they go out and they buy the kit and they figure, okay, let me follow the instructions. And if anybody's watching that has bought the kit and may not have the building experience to improvise, just giving you a heads up, you're going to run into this problem when you're putting the wing together.
Hi, Dennis.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Dennis. Long time no see.
I love the trim scheme on that white airplane behind you.
I know you keep telling me that.
I always will.
Let me click on it and see so the viewers can see that scheme. Yeah, that is a nice looking scheme.
But it isn't bronze.
Hey, nobody's perfect,
Yeah. Forgive me.
Hey, listen, Steve, the bronze is going to return sooner or later.
I keep telling you it should, because that was your trademark.
It's going to return. But, it never was bronze. It was always copper or metallic brown.
I know it.
I just bronze, but it wasn't really bronze.
I know it. But I just, from your story about being a bronze dog.
Oh, I know. We're going to go through that story again.
Hey, guys, look at my airplane.
There's Steve Hines' airplane. All right.
My airplane. It lives at John's house.
Very cool. I have a friend who has the same plane, John, and that is a nice scheme.
I didn't even charge him to assemble it.
Very, very good.
I thought I'd come down and bring it out and show it since he was talking about it already.
Hey, go around take your computer and go around the corner and show them what's all hanging in that side room there.
I'll lose signal. I don't need to do that. I thought just the shop would be enough.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, your shop looks great. I like
you. Go around the corner. He's got 40 airplanes hanging in there.
I'm getting close to 80.
80? Holy shit. Yeah, you can't believe it. I mean, I wanted him to get on here and show off the stuff he has. But he's getting lazy. He didn't build a new Ringmaster this year. I don't understand it. he usually builds a new ringmaster every year for the flyathlon. It's getting old.
What'd you say, John?
Your mic went off, John.
Yeah, I turned it off so you guys didn't hear me fart or anything. Yeah, I know I didn't build a new ringmaster this year. Next year I'll do 2. How's that sound?
Okay.
Hey, Peter, how long is that landing gear that goes in that trunnion block?
Let me see if I can find it. Hold on 1 second.
That looks like an awful long trunnion block.
Yeah, here it is.
Oh,
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it is. It even says in the plans it might be longer than is necessary.
it is. It's way longer than necessary.
But yeah, you see, that's the landing gear.
Is that 5/32 or 1/8 inch?
What's that?
The wire.
The wire.
The wire. It looks like standard 1/8 inch to me. At least it feels like it.
That torsion arm is so long, it's going to be wobbly landing gear. I'm only using like 2.5 inches from the point at which it goes out of the wing to the spur block, and that's plenty. If you get them longer than that, they get wobbly and spongy.
I'm just using what's in the cake. .126. That's 1/8.
That's 1/8 inch.
Well, I'm here looking at the plans, trying to figure out what's going on here with Peter's setup, and what I've come to see is, first off, the trunnion block is based on what Dick Bassini had in the original.
Oh, that's Pacini thing?
Yes.
Yeah. And so it's 5.4 inches long.
Wow.
Yeah. But the on the side view, look at the side view of the fuselage, that vertical block does not go all the way to the top of the rib. It goes up just so that it clears the cutout, and it only goes up a little bit less than 1 inch from the top of the trunnion block to the top of the vertical block. So I'm sure that there might be enough material on each one of them to cut it off and use it there.
No, that doesn't. Yeah, that doesn't. Certainly that is, because I already marked this. Trying to figure out what I'm gonna. I already marked it so I would cut it. I don't know if you can see, but I already have a pencil mark.
Well, let's call up Pacini here. We'll yell at him. Let me call him up here.
See, the vertical. So the mark to cut is right there, and if I hold my finger right about there, that's where right my fingertip is where I'd cut it.
All right.
I'd have to cut it, so it would bury the wire pretty much all the way up to the top. That wasn't my issue. My issue is that the plywood doubler on the rib. I only have you can see my dilemma here is that if I had to there it is. If I had to glue that on the plywood doubler somewhere here, the only place I would have, the only material I would have to glue or epoxy the wood on is this small little bridge of plywood right here. Pretty much.
Plus the top of the trunnion, plus you catch part of the top.
This far. It never reaches this far.
It should. If it's 1 inch long, it should reach up there about an eighth of an inch.
Unfortunately, it's not.
Are there going to be shear webs between those spars?
Damn it! I don't have. I have to mark this.
Shear webs between those spars. Maybe the front of the block will blow up against the shear web and give it some support.
No, it's too far behind the spar.
See, okay, so now I marked this. That's how much I have. And if that's all I have, and I go up to right there, you see where it ends up? It ends up
way too much. It's excess weight. You really don't need, man. You don't need that much vertical.
And the thing is, I have nothing to glue it to. I have almost this.
I would do what Bob suggested.
Yeah.
Glue it on the other side.
I would do what Bob suggested. I would put a bit of balsa in between there and another piece of light plywood, take it out of the piece that plywood came out of, glue it onto there, set it in there, and bridge that open area.
Yeah.
I can put it on the balsa wood side, not on the plywood side. I thought that would not kind of glue it onto that side of the
If
rib.
you put it on a balsa wood side, you won't have enough for your vertical.
You see, it's
You could
balsa
also
wood
go
here
ahead-
and ply on here. I can put it on the balsa
So you
wood
can also
side.
go ahead and put just a small block up near the top of the rib, and leave it open for the wire. That'd give you even more room in that for any possible interference with your lead outs.
Leave the block.
Trying to think.
Leave the block off, hook it to a servo, and now you got retracts.
I'm looking here.
You're a lot of help, Steve.
These are your buddies, Pete. These are your buddies.
It really is close. I mean, the bell crank there, it's a close call.
Move the bell
That's
crank
where the
back.
bell crank is supposed to mount. It'll clear. I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think the issue is it will work the way it is, but there is a possible cleaner way you could do it using a little thought. Bob made, I think, a good suggestion.
The other thing, Peter, is you want to just capture that wire, and if you put some wood in front and back of that block that's resting against the center sheeting,
I can't.
you can keep that wire from going back and forth. That's what you really want to accomplish, is keep that wire that's inside the wing from moving. It doesn't have to be that trending up the whole length, because you just want to keep that wire from moving back and forth.
Yeah, see, that's like with Samantha's take-apart airplane. Because the landing gear removable out of there, there was only like a 32nd of an inch between the Allen screws that held everything in and the wires. We had to be real careful on that kind of stuff. So, but the bell crank is in the airplane.
Well, one thing you can do, if you can make that block a little shorter, you can mount the bell crank a little higher in the wing.
Yeah.
So the lead outs go above the block. It doesn't matter where the bell crank mounts. The bell
Exactly. That's what I was trying to say about
compartment or in the rudder. It doesn't matter. That's not where the airplane flies from. It's just normally put there to be convenient. So you can move it forward or aft or up or down. It won't affect the way the airplane flies.
Yeah.
No, there's no big. There really isn't a big issue, because I always can go to Michael's or go to some place where I can pick up some hard stock and just get another piece with this without a slot in it, cut it to the length I need it, and just drill a hole. It's just that it says it's supposed to in the instruction book, in the kit instruction book, it says to install the torsion blocks. However, in the bill of materials for the kit, there are no torsion blocks. And on the plans, on the actual plans, it would lead you to believe on the plan itself that you do cut. You use some of this landing block with the slot already cut in it, and you use that as the torsion block.
Yeah.
But of course, you don't have enough material of either one to be able to pull that off successfully.
Well, just FYI, not just for this particular thing, but so everybody knows. You can go to Lowe's or Home Depot, and they have specialty woods in one of the aisles, and you can get lengths of rock hard maple in different sizes at reasonable prices and cut it at home.
Yep.
Would you make my screen big, Charles?
It's not. It looks big to me.
Yep.
You guys see it? Isn't it big, John's screen? It's showing showing the plans, right?
Don't even see John. Where's John?
You can't see John. You can see his plans.
Plan.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now I got it.
Now you got to make it big, because it's too small to see even when you're big.
Well, let's see what I can do here.
Well, while you're doing that, let me make an announcement.
Michigan Lodge.
Philip Bailey is saying that he doesn't know why, but he can't seem to get in tonight. The computer nor the iPad will come on, but YouTube on the phone works. So he's going to watch us on his phone. But I told him to keep trying, don't give up. You know, try again and try again.
Well, didn't you say last week you were going to block him?
No, I didn't notice that.
You should call Pacini and yell at him.
That was you, wasn't it, Steve?
This situation with the block and the way it's set up is probably my doing. So it's not Dick Pacini's doing. Quite frankly, there's so many different things a person could do. That you can see here, this is the vertical portion of that block right there.
Okay.
Okay. And so there's a trunnion block, there's the vertical portion. Now, I think that might be a little short and I might have screwed up on that. I think, but I what I would consider doing is just put some filler in here to bring it up to the same grade as the face of this rib right here. Cut it off right about there, and just run your wire up and go through the hole here. Leave this open here. You know,
you can make that vertical block half the length it is, and it'll be just plenty.
Yeah,
unless you're landing on railroad ties.
Right, but you'd have to put some filler in here.
Yeah,
that's all, and that's easy. Okay, so
shorten up that trunnion block by half. And shorten up those landing gear legs by half. That's extra weight, and it's way too much torsion. It's way too wobbly. Trust me. Even 3 inches.
You're talking about the length going
the trunnion block, lengthwise, span-wise.
Yeah, okay.
5 inches that's crazy.
Well, no, it's 4.5 inches. Argue over a half an inch.
Well, it's not so crazy that it's just a little bit crazy. 2.5 inches is all you need.
But I agree that there should be enough to cut off the end of this trunnion block to create this piece. And if I was going to be building, I would put a filler in there, come just above where this is, right in there, run the filler all the way down, but put the block right up here and just line these holes right up here so it's straight up and down. And that would be plenty of strength. And that way, if you had to, you could, if you had a problem here with anything getting interference wise, you could actually notch it in a little bit there easily.
Yeah, you could fill out the spur block a little bit. It doesn't have to be that, first off, it doesn't have to be that high. And secondly, you can take some off the back of it and let the lead outs go through there, you know.
Well, the lead outs are right here.
Oh man,
okay.
That's a problem.
And I don't see where there could possibly be, unless you've got you're in danger of over centering your belt crank. I don't think there's any way you could get that lead out wire into that area. You know.
Yeah. That's way far back.
Yeah. So that I'm not worried too much about that. Here's the other problem that Peter had, and that's why he's got masking tape on his ribs. It's not, you see where these holes for the jig block are through the part that comes out.
Yeah.
We found out real quickly that they fall out and he couldn't put the jig block through it because of the size. He needed to put some wax on his rods apparently, and he didn't know about that. So
pieces right out.
Yeah, so it took it right out. You got the same problem over here, and as you get closer to the tip, why this thing gets clear up into here.
It's always a good idea to wax your rod.
I think you're reading something more into that, Steve. Let's see here. Oh, come on.
Did you guys ever see that video Wendy Yanowski had? I think he had crashed his tsunami, and he had a wing panel in his hand, and he's just bending the landing gear back and forth, and you think he's going to tear the ribs out, but you know what? He broke the wire because he had
really
wire capture. Yeah, there's a video of it. I've seen it. And how he did it is, if you go back to that drawing that you had, John, you don't have to, but like I said earlier, if he has the block attached to the other side of the wing, to the sheeting, you want that wire inside the wing to be as long as possible. That'll give you the leverage. And then you capture it up there. You have a stronger landing gear, and that's what Wendy Yanowski had, and he broke, like I said.
Yeah, but how strong does it need to be, Charles? You're not landing on railroad ties. Half an inch, even 3/8 of an inch of spur is plenty. It's plenty. I've done it, and it's, you know.
Bob, you're preaching to the choir here. I've always said everybody adds a little here to make it a little bit stronger. I just don't think that's going to be strong enough. But like I say, you're not landing on railroad ties.
Yeah.
People wind up wondering why their airplanes get heavy.
Exactly.
When the designer may have designed it.
You could put a half-inch piece of block that's attached to the other side, and it's not a whole lot of weight. I mean, maybe the wire length's a little bit longer, but you just capture it with a short piece of block, and that block actually resting on the center sheeting on the other side of the wing, and that length of wire is captured there.
When I do these, I make light plywood plates that are 1.25 inches wide and about 3 inches long. Right? And then I take basswood, 1/8 basswood, and put it either side of the landing gear wire, and I glue those onto the plate, and then balsa filler pieces to fill out to the edge. And then on the top of that, nothing more than 1/2 inch high spur block, and I round that off in a standing disc sander, because the only way it's going to get in a standard landing gear system, the spur is only going to go back. The gear is going to go forward. The spur is going to go back. So you don't have to have anything forward of the spur in a normal system. In a retract system, it's just the in a tricycle gear system, it's just the opposite. The gear is going to go back, so the spur has to have meat in the front of it. You can take all the meat off the back of it. You got to be grain conscious in these things if you want to keep them light. And we start putting maple pieces in our airplanes that are 1.25 inches high. Man, that's just dead weight.
All right. Hey, you know what? You guys have a lot more planes than I have, so I would go with what you're saying, Bob and John, than what I'm saying, because I don't have as much experience as you guys have.
Well, you know, I've been doing this we're making wings since 1968. We've been doing them since the 70s that way. So, you know, and we've never had, Buddy Weeder had one, that system, and he had a stooge accident. The airplane released out of the stooge, and he was walking out to the handle. And the airplane got in the air, and he reached out and stepped on the lines, and the airplane went straight in, took the landing gear, and bent it back, forced the back of the wheel pad through the top of the wing, and didn't even put a crack in the landing gear. It bent the landing gear clean back, put the wheel pad through the top of the game, and didn't even put a crack in the landing gear.
So, okay, it's not me now. Who's
I suspect it's Eddie.
Oh, sorry, let me mute my mic here. Sorry.
Thanks, Eddie.
They're way stronger than they need to be. Way stronger than they need to be. As long as you're using good glue. If you're using epoxy with microballoons to put everything together, you know, it's never going to come apart. The landing gear is never going to break the inside of the wing.
The reason why this block doesn't go all the way to the top is because the type of this is something that I like to do, and so it's my fault. Hold on a minute. Got to get back to the. I like to put this kind of situation right here where the center sheeting meets the leading edge sheeting. Just kind of it takes away a hard edge point. It adds a little extra strength going out into that next bay. Not much, but a little. And I like the way it looks. So I put this on most everything that I draw.
That looks good.
see if I can find a picture here.
I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing.
Yeah, it's going to take me a minute to find it.
So, Dennis, have the fires affected you at all, Dennis?
We just been getting the smoke, but that cleared out about 2 weeks ago. So it hasn't
I'll
been
be
too
right
bad.
back.
In fact, today I went over to Napa to fly, and there was no smoke. It was foggy, believe it or not smoky. So.
Oh, good. I'm glad that your family is safe and all that. That's great.
Yeah, we didn't have they weren't even close to us. It was just, again, all we were getting is the residual of the smoke, and even some of the ash, because we get ash on top of the cars, which would be floating on down.
Cool. And how have you been feeling?
Well, it is Friday, so
good.
Right? It is Friday, Dennis.
Yeah.
Ash Friday.
Saturday's the next day, right?
Oh, that's funny.
So, John, what airplane you got there now?
You don't recognize this one?
I can't see it all.
Let me click on him. Viking, huh?
Oh, okay.
Very cool. Now, is that a Sparky engine?
Yeah, I'm converting it over. I had a Fox 36 Mark V Combat Special on it, and I flew it from 2001 to 2014 very competitively. And somebody gifted me this OK Super 60, and I thought it'd be time to try and update the airplane to Spark.
Update, huh? That's considered an update?
It's going to be great. Was it worth another 5 points or 10 points in old time?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't flown any old time. And the first time I saw a Sparky or Sparkler engine was at VSC earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
I was matter of fact, I stayed with Bart Kaplinski, and he had a old time plane with a spark ignition engine, and it's the first time I ever seen one. It was really cool. I saw Jim Lee's plane fly and Keith Trostle's Sparkler engine fly. It was really a lot of fun. I never seen it before. I was amazed watching Jim Lee's engine run. I thought it was gonna, if it was a regular 2-cycle glow engine, it would have stalled out, but it just kept going. I was just amazed that a motor could be struggling or running that slow and keep going.
Right. Yeah, I hear these things don't get up the RPM that the other ones do. You have to run a larger diameter prop with a lot more pitch on them. So I'll play around with it a little bit. Hopefully I'll have it finished up here in a week or so. I don't know if I get a chance to fly it this fall. We'll see. But this is something I want to try out. You know, I've done electric. I've done the 2-stroke. I haven't done 4-stroke. I helped Jim Morway when he was alive with his 4-stroke, so that was fun. This year I'm going to try Spark, and Tune Pipe will be for the first time too.
Very cool, John.
Take a look at that close up.
That looks beautiful. That looks like museum quality work there, Bob. That's amazing.
Yeah, but the thing I'm pointing out is that the white ply plate, the 2 retaining screws, that come through with little plate retains, and that little block there is only ½ an inch high, and the front end of it is sanded off so that it takes weight out of it. Because when you land, the gear is going to go forward in a trail dragger configuration. The spur is going to go aft. So that butts up against the spar in there, and you're taking out all the weight you possibly can take out, and that whole plate is only 3 inches long, and the actual landing gear that goes in there is only 2.5 inches long.
Wow.
All you need.
Okay. Hey,
just FYI.
I believe you. I think that's the way to go. Lighter. Now, do you fly on asphalt or you fly on grass most of the time, Bob?
Where'd he go?
Where'd Bob go?
I think he quit and exited out accidentally when he when
He took his marbles and went home.
Yeah, he got rid of his
so
picture.
disgusted with us.
But that's pretty cool.
Well, you know, we've all seen the guys that say, well, you know, I want to add a little bit here to the nose. I had a nose break off one time, or, you know, they start adding a little bit to strengthen here, a little there. And then, I mean, I've had them say, oh, you designed a heavy airplane. No, I didn't. You made it heavy.
Right.
So, John, is that your jig to spray your
There we go.
This is the Harbor Freight sandable primer that I've been using. And yeah, in the background here, you can see my jigs. I'm doing a wet stick Velvet 3. And
Oh, yeah, that's a nice airplane.
there's a lot of pieces to the flap system. You've got your two main flaps plus 6 inner pieces that all go together. And it's a lot of tedious sanding, as I'm finding. But everything seems to be doing okay. I'm not sure if I'm sanding too much of the primer off. I know I'm reducing the weight out as much as I can, and we'll see how it goes when I come to finish time.
Bob was there, and then he's gone again.
Yeah, here he's trying to get in.
There he is.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys can see this and let me know what you think. Can't see myself in there. There we are.
Here you go.
Does it look like I'm sanding too much off or not enough, or, you know, as far as the primer over top of the carbon fiber? Can you guys see that?
Hang on, let me click back on you, John.
Okay.
There you go. Now, Dennis, you know about this, Dennis. You've had experience with this.
Yeah, I can't. I'm seeing Bob's picture right now of the landing gear.
Click on John Paris, and then you can see it. I have them big on my screen.
I don't think you're going too much,
Here we go.
John. You might even be able to go a little bit more.
When I use the Harbor Freight primer, I take as much off as you possibly can.
Okay.
Like I said, it's extremely heavy.
Right. I'm just trying to, you know, I don't want to bust down into the wood and then expose all the wood again.
Right. But I normally, like I said, I'll use several coats of clear dope with the zinc cerate filler to build it up, sand that down flush, and then all I'm using the primer for is to see where the high and low spots are.
Okay.
And you don't want to leave any of that stuff on.
All right.
I don't know if you see mine, John, for my test deal.
Yep.
I was gonna, you know, I'm down that far already.
That's exactly what it should look like.
You know, so only place the primer will be is just in the low spots.
Right.
Okay. All right. Well, I weighed each of the pieces. You know, the elevators are coming in, I think, at 23 grams. I sprayed the primer on. They went up to 26. I sanded it down. I brought them back down to 23 a piece. Yep. I picked up, I think, 1 gram on the large main flaps on each. One was 18, the other one was 20. So they're now at 19 and 21. I didn't bother weighing the small pieces because they're just too small to start with. So I think I've sanded off a good amount of the primer. I see there's a little bit left. I assume it's filling in the low spots because I'm using a block to sand it. So we'll see how it works out.
Yep, looks fun.
It'll be fine.
Remember, as you're sanding the primer down to fill in the low areas, you're also taking down the high areas. So they're kind of mating up. And you really, when you get done putting on primer and sanding it, like you said, 1 gram on a part is, you know, it's not even a lot. That's a lot. You could get like less than 1 ounce on the whole airplane. It should be half an ounce on the whole airplane at the most.
Right. Yeah, I figured you're supposed to take off as much as you can. So, you know, if I'm coming back down to my substrate, which is in this case is carbon fiber, I should only see the carbon fiber plus wherever the low spots are.
Yeah, 10-4.
Okay.
Good, buddy.
Y'all talking about weight. I weighed my Nobler. Right now it's without the cowl because you can't find one, and without the covering, with the motor is 36.6 ounces. That's with a OS 40, LA 40.
That's light enough.
That's light.
Yeah. Well, I downloaded the PDF file for the manual, and it was saying it's like anywhere from 1,100 and something grams to 1,200 and something grams, and mine weighs 1040.
Wow.
So that's 36.685 ounces.
Is that the ARF?
Yeah, that's the Top Flight ARF, which I think I bought the last canopy available today or yesterday.
I think I bought the last cowl. I got a brand new one I bought for mine, but.
Where did you find your canopy at? I had a friend that was looking for one. We were looking all over. There was Canada and New Zealand.
I found it on Amazon for $4.99.
Oh, really?
Yep, and they only had one left.
Yep.
Now I did find one. There's one in Canada, but they want $32 shipping.
Well, that's okay. It's Canadian money.
And it was it was like $2.99 plus shipping, and when you put in your address for shipping, it was like $32 shipping. I'm like, no. Of course, Brodak has theirs, but it's for the Brodak Nobler. It's not the. It looks like it's a different type of canopy.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. I had both the Brodak kit here, plus I bought 2 of the Top Flight canopies a while back, and he said that he was needing one, so I pulled them both out so he could figure out which one he liked, and they're shaped a little bit different. I mean, the overall shape, you should be able to swap them back and forth, but the one from Brodak's got a flat part on the very front, whereas the Top Flight is rounded.
Do you think the Brodak canopy would fit the Junior Nobler?
Yeah, it's supposed to. As a matter of fact, when they list it, because I looked it up last night.
Okay.
It's listed for both.
Yeah. Now the Junior Nobler I've got, I don't know. Did Top Flight make a Junior Nobler?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Because see, I don't know this. I've had this plane. Somebody give it to my dad, so we've had it for probably. Oh gosh, 35 years or better. So I don't know how long Brodak's been making the Junior Nobler, or who made it first, or what. But
well, Top Flight had it first. Years before Brodak ever got into this.
Like that one?
I think I drew that plan for him. That would be about for Brodak. I think that would be about 7, 8, 10 years ago. In there.
Is that the Nobler? It's got the open engine bay on it.
Yeah, this is the one from Top Flight, the Junior Nobler.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I've got.
Is that the price tag on it right there, John, or not? The blue thing?
$276. You betcha.
Wow.
He'll sell to you for half price.
I want to. This goes back to something we were talking about, but I want to just put this up real quick.
All righty.
That landing gear torsion arm is only 2.5 inches long.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a very good point. Make it, 2.5 inches.
They don't have to be that long, and some of them are even shorter than that. I mean, made them as short as 1.5 inches for stiffer gear. So, for what it's worth.
I watched Gialdini's. What was the last one he took to the Worlds? Was it not the Olympic, but the jet? Bob Gialdini.
Yeah, he took the Stingray to the World. He didn't take the Eclipse to the World.
Okay, I watched him. He built back in about 1987, 88, 89, somewhere. He showed up at one of the club meets in Milwaukee when I lived in Wisconsin, and he built a new Stingray, and he had an RC mount on the front end of it. It was all boxed in. You didn't know it until he took the cowl off. But I watched that thing land on the asphalt, and of course the asphalt had a few cracks in it. But that gear that gear was doing this, you know, because he folded it back in like that. So it was doing this.
Yep.
And it was also doing this quite a bit.
For too long.
So he had a long trunnion block in that thing.
Yep. Well, and also those things, the gear mounted very far after the wing, and they swept in and forward. So the gear themselves were springy. You know, the legs of it were very springy. Same thing with Kostecki's airplane, the Formula S. For looks, they made them go forward and in. They canted in, but they went very far forward, so they get the CG location right, you know, in relation to the axle, and consequently, spring just in the leg of the gear.
Boy, it was doing that. It was just doing this, you know.
Yeah, they walk all over the place.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How's he doing? Is he still with us?
I talked to him about a month ago. He called me, and he moved from he sold his house in Wauwatosa there, and he moved into a assisted living facility, and he doesn't have a phone right now. He can only call out. He can't call in. So hopefully he'll give me a call. He sounded pretty good though. He said the food was good and the nurses were pretty. So, you know.
All right.
Well, when you talk to him, please say hello to him for me.
I will. Yeah. I got to tell you, I probably told this story here before, but since you're talking about Gialdini, there's this guy named Paul Riscala who been out of the hobby for a long time, and he came back in just recently, and he wanted to build an Olympic. He loved the Olympic. So we did a lost foam cradle set for him, and he built a wing, and he did a really nice job on it, except like all builders who come back or never really learned how to do noses on airplanes, it looked like a 1 3/4 inch spinner on the front of a baseball bat, you know? So I said, look, Paul, I said, let's sleek this thing in. And he said, oh, there's not enough wood. I said, there's a lumber yard on the front of this airplane. Let's sleek it in. So I'm working it in, and we're talking. And he says, I've always liked the Olympic. I always wanted to be able to talk to Mr. Gialdini before he died. And I didn't say a word. I just said, see what I'm doing here? I said, just keep doing that. And I walked over to the phone and I called Bob. I said, I got somebody I want you to talk to. And I put it on speakerphone. I said, Paul, meet Bob Gialdini. And the look on his face was priceless.
Yeah, my brother has his Olympic.
Which one?
The one that he won the Nats with, or the Worlds, or whatever.
He never won the Nats with an Olympic. And he never took an Olympic to the Worlds. The only airplane he took to the Worlds was a Stingray, 64. The Olympic, the highest he got with it was third place in 61. I watched him take that flight in 61 with the Mark III, which was an I-beam wing version of it. There were 5 of them altogether.
Yeah, he showed up at the Circle Masters Club meeting one time. He had his scrapbook with all the versions of the Olympic in it, and he showed the complete genealogy of the Olympic. Started out as a Nobler.
Yep, started with a Nobler. Mm-hmm.
Yep, and he just changed it and made things a little different each one, but it was basically a Nobler even at the end.
Yep, it sure was. Yep.
My brother has one of them. Then John Brodak gave it to him.
Mm-hmm. No, he built one more in recent years, and he called it the Olympique. I think I have pictures of it actually, but it wasn't really an Olympic. It was something different.
Hey, John.
Which John?
John. John. Santa Claus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm gonna bail out on you. Have a good evening.
Hey, John.
Take it easy, John.
Thanks.
I'll give you a call or text you here.
All right,
John, number 2.
Bye now.
Speaking of landing gear, but the torsion arms on your Pathfinder that's in the back there that I'm pointing at.
Nice picture.
Yeah.
That's only about that long. Where my finger is on this one. It's only about 2.5 inches.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'd seen the light by the time we got to, but you don't want to change too much stuff on a fellow's design.
No, of course not.
not without checking with them. And I did take a little license with the nose of the airplane.
No, of course not. Of course not. I just figured. I just looked at the Pathfinder, and the torsion bars are like, that long on those.
Well, Pacini's so old, you won't remember what he did back then. He's a good friend.
What?
Pacini's so old, he don't remember anything about it, So.
He seemed like a nice guy. I never got to meet him.
He was a cop, He was a cop in. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I knew that, but he was. It's kind of funny because I always kept seeing that plans for the Saginaw Spirit of Saginaw in flying model.
Sure.
And I kept thinking, man, that's a nice looking airplane. So one day I decided that I was going to do a CAD job on it. And so I got going along with it. And I said, man, I got to send this to Brodak to let him see what it looks like. Mm-hmm. So I sent him a file on it so he could see it, and he liked it. So then I called Cassini and said, hey, I think Brodak would like to catch your plane, but he wants your permission,
Did they get a release from Flying Models? Because the design belongs to Flying Models.
Well, I knew that. But in my dealings with Flying Models, they always told me that they didn't care.
Yeah, well, I was the editor of Flying Models, and there was a little bit more of a protocol to it than that. You had to go to the designer and ask him if he wanted to be kitted, and then he had to write a letter to the magazine asking for the kit rights to be released only, not the plan rights, but the kit rights, because you couldn't release the plan. They won't release the plan rights, but they will release the kitting rights, and you had to do new plans, which you did. But there had to be some paperwork going back and forth there, in order to be legal.
Well, I don't know if that was done. I think that this is about the time where Flying Models was having some problems. I know that there were several. Let's see, I wrote 4 articles, and I'm not happy with them, because of things that happen.
Well, there's a lot of it going on and some of it is innocent to a degree. Pirating of plants, intellectual property belongs to somebody.
Right, absolutely, I agree with that.
There's a lot of people who just take it upon themselves to sell plans to. There's people out there selling plans to my airplanes and Billy's airplanes that we never told them they could do that.
Right. Well, that's one of the reasons why that's one of the reasons, Bob, why when I do a set of plans, or when I do somebody else's airplane, I draw a new set of plans.
Yeah, but again, you're supposed to have permission from if it was published, you're supposed to have permission from the magazine releasing kit rights back to the designer. Then the designer can release the kit rights to the kitter.
Right.
That's the proper way to do it. See,
and when for instance, when they published the Pathfinder profile.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember who I think you were an editor at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to, who was it? Right. Anyway, I said, we've got somebody that's interested in making a kit. And he said, that we don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, well, he should have actually, said, well, send me a letter. We'll send you a letter releasing the kit rights. That's how it should be done.
Yeah.
And when I was at Model Aviation, that was they were adamant about that because they were FBI cross every T.
Right.
So for what it's worth, Jigsaw Polar had a number of airplanes published, mostly radio airplanes that were kitted by Champion Model Aircraft Company, and he had to go through that every time. And I wrote those letters every time, releasing the kit back to him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if that was done in Pacini's case. Knowing John Bodas the way I did, he was pretty much stickler for making sure everything was done right too.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I'm going to have to sign off tonight because we're getting up early in the morning to go up to my friend's house and do some shooting. He's got 50 acres of land, and we're going to do some plinking up his property. So,
have some fun, Bob. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, good to talk to you.
Yeah, you guys too. It was fun. I haven't been in a while, and It was good to be here for a while.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we have tons of fun. We get later in once it gets on later at night, we all start drinking and get party and all sorts of things.
Dancing girls come in.
Hey, Bob, real quick, Bob, thanks. I received the hole plug gauge.
Okay, you got that?
Good order, yes. Thank you very much.
And Dennis, by the way, I wanted to let you know, I love that trim scheme on that airplane behind you there.
I'll send you a bill.
You send me a bill? You send me a check?
That's better.
All right, buddy, I'll send you a bill.
But it's not bronze, Bob. I mean,
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night.
Hey, guys, one quick comment from the chat box. Philip Bailey says to Steve, tell Steve, I don't get mad, I get even. And then he said, why does that sound dirty when Steve says it? I think he's referring to probably waxing the rod, I think.
Yeah. It's you guys' mind. It's not mine.
Okay. All right.
I thought Phil was getting in. His little box was up there and it was green.
I saw it.
It's gone now.
Trying to get in, but are you in?
I thought he was finally. I thought maybe you quit banning him and you're gonna let him in.
Right.
Get down. Get down.
That's why I'm always nice to Charles, so he don't.
I don't say I think anybody's gonna get banned. I know who it would be.
I don't think he's been putting his money in the jar lately.
If it weren't for me, there wouldn't be any money in that jar. This thing wouldn't be making any money.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, tell Phil.
I got a cat here. It's being a bad cat.
I see Len. It looks like Len's trying to get in too, but
I'm not trying to get in. I'm here. Where you been?
I don't see your pretty face.
Turn your lights on because you're in the dark.
Yeah.
I see yours, unfortunately. I don't know why you guys can't see me, but don't worry, you're not missing much.
Hey, Len, you and Rodney Dangerfield.
That's right. Me and Rodney.
No respect.
None. Zippo.
You know what he looks like.
Yeah.
I haven't won enough American stunt contests to get any respect yet.
Yeah, Phil's got to try again. I think that he almost got in.
Yeah,
there we go.
Need to get a running start.
Yeah, need to try it again.
Hey, Phil, call the cable company and pay your Wi-Fi bill.
Did you order that
Quiet
kit,
now.
Phil? Or Phil?
What's that?
I was asking Phil if he ordered that kit yet.
No.
Well, I've quickly become a electric convert.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You liking it, huh?
By my profile, I love electric.
It really is. I mean, I still love IC engines. You know, I love to run them on the bench and smell the castor oil and stuff like that. But it's like, you know, I just said if I'm going to spend $2,000 to go to a contest, it would be with an electric plane that you don't got to mess with. You know, it's going to be right when you get there. I mean, I just don't have the money to, you know, throw away a vacation and messing with stuff. But that's only me. But yeah,
I like you. I like running good IC engines as well. But very few of them have the repeatability, if any, have the repeatability, you know, that an electric has. I mean, it's Doesn't matter if you go up in altitude, down in altitude, if it's hot or if it's cold, they run the same.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's how I look at it. As we got our engines running really pretty good, but even when you think that you got it and you got notes and all that kind of stuff, it still is not as good as the repeatability on the electric. It's just not, you know. But this, you know, if you can work around that, you know, 1 or 2%, you know, and you like it, then do it, you know. But
there's
I
three
love
things.
the cleanup afterwards with electric.
Yeah,
there is
there's
none.
three things. There's three things that are key to becoming a better competition stunt pilot. One of them is learning the pattern with a coach.
Right.
2 is learning how to build straight and clean.
And light, Charles.
Huh?
And light, Charles.
Yeah, and light.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
and the third,
come on. Give your heads a shake.
And the third one is, and the reason I say straight and clean is if you build a crooked airplane, it will always fly crooked. You can make fixes, you can patch and all that, but it will only work at one speed and one air condition, and that'll be close to what you want. If you build them straight and you got them properly, you know, just worked out, they fly. The plane won't be fighting them. And then the last thing is to get your engine run so that it's repeatable. Now, the modern stunt engines are the closest things we've had since I started this hobby back in the 50s. But electric just blew them out of the water. And don't get me wrong, I will never give up my stalkers. I love the way they run.
Do you think they'll ever have a IC class and an electric class?
Yeah, they do right now. It's called Expert Advanced.
I doubt that they'll have separate classes for it. It's like the progression of the event has gone on. I mean, when the Olsen and Rice was and a couple others were the hot stunt engines. They were the hot stunt engines in the early 50s. Okay. And then came the biggest breakthrough after that came the Fox and the McCoys. Those, you know, those were and look how long the Fox carried on its legacy, you know.
Long time.
A long time. But then what was better after the Foxes was the Super Tigers and the Onions and the OS. And we've gone, you know, finally they went to you know, they started running motors that were RC motors that were tuned to run high speed, you know, and they figured out
how to tame them down,
high speed and that. And then they figured out, and I think the fellow just here was one of the key players in that, the tune pipe, and used the tune pipe as a regulator. Right. These were all things that changed how stunt was flown. You know, the Russians and the Ukrainians, after the fall of the Soviet Union, had access to better metallurgy than we could get. I mean, we could get it, but it cost so darn much. None of the manufacturers making enough engines to be able to access it. But they could go to their space program. They wanted money so bad. I don't know whether they're getting it, paying it under I don't know how they're getting it. But they were getting high silicon and aluminum for the pistons. They're getting really good metallurgy for their engines. These guys most of them had either ties to or were working in the space program or the aircraft industry in Russia and Ukraine, and they started putting out some really good engines. But they hit right there about before the pipes really got really strong, and they came out with what I thought was the 424 brake engine, taken about as far as you can take it. Your Discoveries, your Stalkers, and that, you know, they are very reliable, but they don't have the horsepower that a tuned pipe engine has.
Well, that's like with Inya come out with the XCS 40 and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and then they couldn't get any more aluminum out of Russia. You know, they Inya was really, you know, on the cutting edge there, and you know, I love them Inya motors. You know, I got the 40s and stuff, but you know, you can't get them now.
Yeah.
The thing is you can get here in the Western world, you can get that high silicone aluminum that they need for the piston, but you got to buy, you know, no mill or no foundry or whatever it is going to make it for you, because they got to make it, you know, like 10 tons of it at a time or something like a huge amount of it. And so, you know, Enya doesn't, how much material they use to make a piston, how many engines could they make out of 10 tons? Would they, you know, it would, the cost is prohibitive to it.
Well, what happened was aluminum went away. Now it's all carbon fiber. You know,
not on a piston.
Well, not on a piston, but I mean in the aerospace industry, you know, everything went carbon fiber now, and the aluminum isn't used like it was before.
Well,
it's just going to get down to where everything's going to go electric anyway, because you can't buy. And like I say, the fuel's getting outrageous, the engines are getting outrageous, the props are getting outrageous.
Yeah, it's tough. Now I have a question for Dennis Nunes. So Dennis, I mean, you had the Brett Buck setup, tune pipe setup, and now you have an electric. So what is the gain? What have you gained from your electric profile? What's the allurement?
The biggest thing is, like John was talking about, the consistency that you get with the engine run. Yeah, with electric. I mean, it's a set it and forget it type situation. Just to give you an example, when I went to the Nats out here in California, you know, I'm running 10% fuel on my Rojet, and I'm flying basically almost at sea level, maybe up to a couple hundred feet. And you know, for that area in that environment, perfect. You know, 10% is fine. Well, when I got with Brett Buck, and he said, well, from our experience, we find out when we go to Muncie, because of the elevation, the air density, and so forth, we use 15%. You know, nitro fuel.
Right.
And so when I got, and he says the other adjustment we make is within the handle. We open up the spacing of the handle to the next set of holes, and then add probably anywhere between a quarter to a half ounce of nose weight. And again, that's to deal with Muncie, with the temperature and the humidity and the air density that was there. And I was fortunate, I happened to hit it just right. And so for the 61, it ran perfect. It just purred like it was at sea level. I didn't have to do much other than just get used to the weather conditions and so forth that were there. Playing with my electric now, again, I haven't taken it to Muncie yet. I'm still testing it here, but I have about almost 50 flights on it now. And I mean, once we got the lap times down and we got the electronics as it were figured out, it's just you strap on a battery, hit the button, and just go grab your handle. And it's just repeated. So all you're working on, I'm not having to work on engine tuning. I'm just working on trimming of the plane.
Right.
And once you get that trimmed, then it's just adjusting the trim for the various areas that you fly in. And
so you don't have to change prop pitch or nothing going from thin air to thick air?
No.
So you don't have to change prop pitch going from thick air to thin air?
Not that I know of. We didn't, my Rojet, no. I ran the same prop.
For the electric?
Electric, I don't know yet. But from what I understand, there shouldn't be any difference.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's like when we went to France, you know, and they said, they had a gusty wind and stuff like that there, but it wasn't near as bad as we had here. I mean, I think Samantha sped up a couple hundred RPM is what she wanted. And it was, we took the box out, did it. Okay, that's where I like it. Everything feels right. And we were done. And I mean, other people spent days blending fuel and changing pipe lengths and glow plugs and this and that and everything else, you know. And I told her, I said, we could have got there, or we didn't even have to go the 3 days earlier that everybody else went. The reason why they went 3 days earlier was to get the engines to run well. I mean, it wasn't really where.
Yes, we got there 3 days early, just testing things to make sure everything worked.
Right.
And then, just to give a good example, we had beautiful weather practice days. Because we got there, was it Friday? So we were flying Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday was appearance judging. And so we're practicing, and again, I didn't have to mix any fuel or anything. It was just getting the proper RPM, but it took several flights to get that.
Yeah.
And then once we got dialed in, we were great for the weather. Then when qualifying day came up, next thing you know, we got fog, we got thick air, and then all of a sudden we started getting some really heavy wind. I mean, the conditions changed a complete 180 degrees, you know. And so the question comes up, well, how's our engines going to run? We don't know, because we didn't fly in that type of weather prior to qualification. But I just happened to hit it, that it worked fine, except for when I hit the dead calm air. I have a plane that's overweight and it don't like dead calm air.
Right. Well, that was just, one thing we found out at the end when Samantha was, basically all done flying and stuff, was that in calm air, we increased the RPM, I think 300 RPMs or whatever. And in real windy conditions, we bumped it to 400. But we knew where to, and I mean, it was like, okay, here's the wind, here's the RPM setting. And it was just that easy. So, and it flew the same in the wind or no wind or regular wind, all the time. And it was just a decision that we made when we put the lines out where we were going to set the RPM range. And if she didn't like the one practice flight, we could change it within seconds. It was just, there was no tweaking the needle valve. Oh, we need more power. How much fuel do we got to pull so we don't go over in time?
Yeah. Well, the other thing I like too about electrics is you can do short flights. Now, when I first started the plane, I was only doing 1 minute flights.
Yeah.
And then to get the plane, and the engine trimmed out, the engine running right, the motor running right, and getting the plane trimmed halfway decent before we did, a full flight.
Yeah.
And, I was getting 3 runs on a battery, no problem at all. So we were doing one right after another, but I was always making adjustments, in between. And then to me, that's a huge advantage. I don't like, short filling a tank to, try to trim it out, because again, it changes the balance of the plane.
Right.
But, and that was what Chris Rudd showed us there when we were in Texas about using clay to trim an airplane.
Mm-hmm.
We're using we could drop down to 1 minute flights. We need more tip weight. We need less. We want more tail weight or nose weight or whatever. And we could do it real quick. And it's like, then when we got back to home, back home, then we make a final adjustment. I could put, if we needed tip weight, I could put tip weight in it. And we always kept the tip weight kind of, light and put clay on there to if we wanted 1.25 ounces. A half an ounce would be clay.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had somewhere to play with. And then, okay, once we got it where we wanted, I'd pull the clay off and weigh it. And then I would cut the lead to put in the wing to match it.
I'll be right back.
It was, but if we had to do 5.5 minute, 6 minute flights every time, it would have taken 5 times as long to do that.
Yeah, okay. But the one thing about electric is electric is not it is not as crash how would I say crash proof. Basically, you turn around, you take an IC engine stunt chip. If you bounce it the wrong way and you snap one of the blades off the prop, or you get it to a point where it hits the engine enough to hit the prop, it'll stop the engine. The engine is stopped running. And electric is going to keep going until it shakes and pretty much self-destructs right in front of your eyes. Because there's nothing to turn that electric off until the ESC says, or the timer says, it's time to turn off. So after a crash or just a bump, maybe you hit the ground a little too low on inverted and you just, skim the ground, that airplane will turn around and self-destruct right in front of your eyes.
I seen Gary Lutz's Dream Girl, brand new airplane. Guy launched it, and it hit that carbon fiber prop, and the things went out of balance. It shook the airplane apart.
Yep. There's nothing to turn off There's nothing to turn off that electric motor.
No, that was a road jet.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, that was a road jet.
Okay, so it didn't hit hard enough to turn off to stop the engine.
But like with Samantha's airplane, before we left for the Nats last year, she caught a weed and the plane came in and hit the prop and busted the prop. That was enough to shut everything off. It stopped right there. We went and got a different prop, put it on there, did 1 minute flights, got the lap time back. We were done, and she flew that same day. If we'd have broke our IC carbon fiber prop, we'd have been repitching and all kinds of crap trying to get it back into flying mode. So it's a lot easier with electric. You go from one prop to another, it's just that little box. You just tweak it a little bit. You don't have to get out there and redo the props and adjust them and everything else. It's if you use good stuff with electric and not $11 ESC, you don't have that problem. All that safety stuff is in there. It's built into them.
So just out of curiosity, why do you think some of the best flyers are still holding out and doing IC?
Well,
I don't know how many the last 4 world champions have been all IC.
Yep.
Well, I was talking with Dave Fitzgerald.
Electric, right? I mean, electric. Yeah, they haven't been
electric. Okay.
I think didn't the Rusties win the Nats this year?
Yeah, electric.
Electric.
Okay.
Paul Walker was second with an electric.
Yeah, Paul Walker was second.
You're in.
Hey,
there he is.
Hey.
Hey, don't let Charles be holding you hostage for like $100 to get in here and stuff.
Yeah, none of that.
We can't hear you, Phil.
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
That costs you another 100 if you want to talk.
Yeah, you only gave me half the money, so.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. I can't believe you guys.
You got to pay up, Phil.
Hell, it's 200 for you, Len, because you paid Canadian money.
I should have known that was coming. I just should have known.
You got that surcharge on that Canadian money.
Don't remind me. Can't afford anything in this hobby anymore. Not even Stunt Hangar.
It's bad when you can't afford a free site.
That's right. It's unbelievable.
So, Dennis, I have a question, Dennis.
Oh, there goes Phil again. Shit.
So, Dennis, when you
come back.
When you do a maneuver like the square, what difference do you see with the electric as opposed to the IC?
My current electric plane is the tightest cornering plane I've ever owned. And again, the design numbers are a little bit different because I have my other profile that's on a OS, LA45 or 46, and then I got the other one's electric. But I changed the design a little bit more with some better numbers, and that plane corners and tracks extremely well. I've been blown away with it. I love flying it. It's now my favorite plane to fly.
Wow.
And but again, I don't think electric had to do with that as much as the design features of it that caused it to turn better. If I just put a an IC engine in there, it probably should turn as much if I keep the balance and everything the way it should. But I'm really impressed the way it turns. And again, only thing on electric I can think of is, and again, I'm not that experienced at it yet, the acceleration coming out of the corners with electric is better than an IC engine.
All right.
It's quicker.
One acceleration.
All right. Now, what about toward the end of the pattern? Let's say in the beginning, you got all this power, and then at the end, when you're starting to do the really, labor type of maneuvers, how does the electric compare to the IC?
There is no change in the power output on my electric.
Okay.
The power that I had at the beginning is the same power that I have at the end.
Okay.
Charles?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to understand. If you look at the way the pattern is laid out, the maneuvers as they're laid out, typically they are the pattern is basically designed for an IC engine, because the maneuvers that require a greater amount of turning ability or more sensitivity in the turns are the maneuvers have the greater number of turns in them are towards the end of the pattern, where you would expect your fuel tank to be lower. That means your CG goes to the rear, and it's going to bias the pattern to an IC engine design, and because that's where all the maneuvers that you have, most of the maneuvers that you have that have turns in them, are the second half of your entire flight, and that's when your tank starts running down and your CG starts moving to the rear. At least that's my impression.
You would think that, but with electric, at the end of the pattern, if you come into some really heavy wind, that electric motor will keep on cranking. Yeah. It's using it's not a gyro or whatever it is that senses the airplane slowing down.
Yeah, gyro
works. If it's set to say to run at 30 miles an hour, for whatever it would be in miles per hour, it will keep increasing power until you get there.
So it's got an accelerometer on it?
Yeah, the accelerometer. So what it is that if that wind pushes harder on the airplane to slow it down more, that electric motor just gives it more power, and it does it so quick, it pulls it through. It's not like an IC to where you're stuck with that much, when it breaks, you get an extra 200 RPM.
Right.
The wind blows 5 miles an hour harder, it doesn't compensate. The electric will compensate and pull it through.
Yeah, well,
it makes a big difference.
But then everybody's filing top competition stunt that's flying a PA-65 or bigger in an airplane that's maybe 650, 700 square inches and is weighing less than 7 pounds. So it's neither here nor there. You're flying a PA-65, which is producing God only knows how many horsepower. It doesn't care whether the wind is blowing or not.
Yeah, but it's not changing. It's not changing the RPM of the motor.
It doesn't have to.
What you're talking about, Peter? That's why the 76 is so popular on that size airplane, because you got gobs of excess power you're not using, and the pipe is limiting the run. The thing is, an electric motor is a torque motor. It senses the torque.
Exactly.
and it runs on torque. When when you come around into the wind, you got anything other than a piped airplane with a 76 on it, you come around into a 20-mile-an-hour wind, and you're doing 55 miles an hour. Guess what? You're doing 35 miles an hour going upwind until you get around, and all of a sudden go on the downwind side, you speed up. Doesn't happen with
electrics. Don't do that.
Let me finish, Steve. Doesn't happen with electric. Electric senses the torque that it needs going uphill or upwind, and it increases the torque. And when it comes around, it says, "Oh, I don't need this much torque going downwind," and so it eases off on it. It does that switching all automatically. So what you wind up with is pretty much close to a constant speed all the way around the circle.
Yeah.
And a constant speed going uphill, up in like you're climbing, like you're doing an hourglass. You're going up here, and you make the turn here, and all of a sudden now you're headed down. You're not speeding up, heading down. The prop it's slowing down. The prop is helping you slow you down, and now you can make a much prettier hourglass. And
the thing is, I just think about, I think back about it, that the top guys in stunt were doing the same exact thing that we are doing, or the guys that are attempting to do now with all this technology and all of this stuff back. I mean, I'm building a Saginaw back when Bob was building his Genesis on a 35 OS Max. If it was 500, if it was 500 square inches, that was a lot. They were doing the same damn thing, and just somehow it's gotten to the point where it's like almost out of control. Where now you're doing the same thing with. You're saying that you have to have all this technology to do the same thing that the guys were doing back when they were when the guys created.
Yeah, but you do have to have it, Peter, because you can't keep up with that airplane.
Peter, they weren't doing the same thing back in the day.
Oh hell yeah!
They were doing it.
No, they weren't.
I was flying in those days.
Yeah.
I started flying in 1953, and I was flying my '57 green box Nobler in 1958.
Yeah, and the AMA pattern wasn't even born yet.
Yes, it was. And I had to relearn I had learned the old pattern. I had to relearn the new pattern that year. So what happened though? I was running a McCoy Redhead. That thing left the ground at such a heavy four-stroke, it was unbelievable. You'd fly around and you would wonder, is this thing going to be able to climb over the top? And you hit your turn, and it go up, and all of a sudden it kick into from the four-stroke to the two-stroke, and it would climb the circle. But it free-flighted across the top 40 degrees of the circle. And then as you headed down, it would back off. It would slow down because that was the way of a 424.
That's what Fox 35s do today, or a McCoy if you use one.
Fox 35 is on a stunner is a fun airplane. It's a fun one to go fly. You're going to have a great time. You can do anything you want to do, but
it's a different critter.
For the most part, competitive. Some guys will be, but for the most part, won't be competitive.
Only if they're really good flyers. You got to be a really good flyer. I mean, Joe Gilbert's going to be competitive with any airplane, but the average guy is going to be more competitive with a modern airplane with a modern motor or an electric motor.
But that's what I meant. Is I'm talking about Gene Schaefer, Les McDonald. I can go on and on. And they were flying 35 size planes that would fly a pattern as good as I've ever seen something fly contemporary with an airplane that was half as big.
If you took Gene Schaefer at his best and you gave him a month on a modern powered stunt ship, he would outfly himself.
No, I disagree.
I agree.
I used to watch Gene Schaefer turn around and fly when he was trying to goof around He would have his stunt ship out there. The engine would quit. It would be a windy day. It would be a windy day in Torsion. He wouldn't stop flying. He would whip that thing around and fly for another half an hour without the engine running.
I watched Gordon Delaney do that with his Gemini twin at the 95 Nats.
Wow. What engine did Gene Schaefer fly in his airplane?
OS Max 35. 35 stunt.
So why isn't anybody flying that now? If it's better, the top guys would be flying it. They left it because it wasn't better.
Good enough. That's right.
It wasn't good enough. You know, I have an old Tandy computer. How much you want to pay me for it?
Yeah.
I got a couple OS 35s downstairs. What do you want to pay for them? I'll sell them to you.
I mean, that was the top of the line stuff, you know? It's a piece of junk.
Well, as much fun as this been, guys, I'm going to have to go.
All right.
Hey, Eddie, one question before you go, Eddie. One question. Did you print those plans?
I haven't yet, no.
Okay, I just wanted to know how they come out. So
I'll probably get them printed sometime this week and let you know Friday.
Thanks.
Or Monday well, it won't be Monday, but I should have them printed by next Friday.
Okay, look forward to seeing them. Take care.
See y'all later.
See you, man.
Bye-bye. It's like Indy cars. Okay. What were they running 40 years ago for Indy cars?
Yeah.
Anybody know?
I don't know enough about them.
They were running Offenhauser 4-cylinder engines.
Okay.
And they're flathead engines, if I remember correctly. And they got everything they could get out of it. Do you think an Offenhauser powered Indy car would be competitive today?
No.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
You know, I mean, they had the geometry and everything pretty well down by that time for the car, for the drivetrain, and that for as far as the car handled. But the power plant, though great in its day, won't compete with today's cars. You take what do they got? They got 6 cylinders or 8 cylinders or 10 cylinders in those things. You know, I think they got them all in there.
Well, now they're making them go back down to less cylinders, like in Formula One.
Yeah.
To slow them down.
Well, and the thing is, a 4-cylinder engine is really a pretty well balanced engine.
At some point, it became the stunt competition became embroiled in the same thing that just about everything else does. It became embroiled in size. How big is a Yasenko? You know, Yasenko that you can buy. How big is that airplane?
Don't know. Don't even know the airplane.
No, the Yasenko that everybody in Europe buys.
Okay, it's roughly the size of a 51 to 60 size airplane.
Yeah.
So we're talking 60-inch span, roughly, maybe a little less, maybe a little more. You know, it's a 51 to 60 size airplane. So go ahead.
As soon as those became available, and everybody who was going to the World Championships decided to show up with one of those. Of course, everybody in the United States and around the world said, "Oh, geez, we have to compete. We have to compete against that particular size." And everybody just jumped on the bandwagon. And airplanes got bigger and bigger motors, and it just
wasn't that simple, Peter. It wasn't. In all due respect, you know, I said earlier, I talked about Olson and Rice engines being the top stunt engine of their day. But their airplanes were like Yates Madmans and things like that. They were when Bob Palmer came along. You know that Aldrich was mentored by Bob Palmer. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
And he flew Palmer's Chief a lot before he ever developed the Nobler.
Right.
Bob Palmer was flying a larger airplane for us today. In England, the stunt ship was about the size that we put a 25 on today. That was the top stunt ship in that at that time. The form and following function was what was happening in the competition stunt. Because the planes, the Olsen Rice had to run fast to get the horsepower. The Madmans, the Yates, Dragon, and those kind of airplanes that flew fast, they were what had to be be able to do the maneuvers. Then Palmer comes along and starts flying his smoothie. Okay, a little bit larger airplane than the Mad, a little bit bigger, smaller engine, and let me finish it, because there's a reason why they get bigger, because your wing loading goes down. Your plane now can make a better flight, turn better, and is more competitive. So then comes the
scale air.
Then comes the Chief, which was bigger yet.
54-inch stand.
And then after the Chief comes the Nobler, and the Nobler was an eye opener. It changed the whole look of stunt. At one point there, every plane flying was either a Nobler or something that was made out of a Nobler. Okay, and they were flying on 35s, and it turned out that they found that the OS 35S was a better engine for stunt than the. People are going to be upset when I say it. It's a better engine for stunt than a Fox 35. They didn't shake as much. They had more controllable power. They were better suited to fly stunt. As time progressed along, the idea came that they said, okay, if this much bigger an airplane will turn better and carry the weight better, what would a airplane that's got another 50, 60 square inches in the wing, how would that perform? And that's when they started going up. Les McDonald with the Shark, first big 49 hours. Huh?
Super Tiger. You mean
that's right, Super Tiger what? 46.
Well,
Super Tiger 46, yeah.
The Usama, I have one. I got the plans from Bob and stuff like that for building. About 620 square inches.
Right.
David Fitzgerald's Thunder Gazer.
Thunder Gazer, 630 square inches.
Right. Everything was real big, and then came back when they find out what flies better. And when it's competition, you're not looking for a 10% better flying airplane or whatever. You want a 0.5%, 0.25%. That's what competition all is. Most of my airplanes are all IC. I got one electric. Now Samantha's are all IC, but she only flies competition. I fly for the fun of it. Till I crash it and build another one. I mean, it's just a deal to where I'm not going to be in competition, so I fly what I like, not because it's not better or whatever. I have fun. I like to run IC motors. What I'm just saying is, if I'm going to spend the money in competition to go to these contests and stuff like that, if I was going to do that, it's only going to be with stuff that's reliable, and I get my money's worth out of spending,
There's no sense taking
I know I'm not in the same position as a lot of people. I don't have an extra $2,000 just to go and spend or whatever. I wish I did, but I don't. I gotta save that money up and make sure my bills are still paid and everything else, and I go do that. And if I'm going to spend that money, I just want to, have as much fun and stuff as I possibly can, or in, Samantha's case, be the most competitive.
Right.
Steve, you wouldn't take a mule. You wouldn't take a mule to run in the Kentucky Derby.
Right, exactly.
Okay, and you know, this progression of stunt, you're absolutely right. They went really big and they came back to, because they found out that it got too big, it didn't fit the pattern on the line lengths. It looked funny out there, and they got to the point of diminishing returns, and so then they went to a smaller plane and put tremendous horsepower on it.
Yeah, you know, there's still some people in Canada that like to fly the big heavy planes.
Okay, but hold on here.
There are a few around, yeah.
Yeah, and in Southern California also.
That's right. That's right.
When
We fly them because we like them. That's,
right, and that's the whole thing.
That's,
if
that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine. You know, that's why Vintage Stunt Championship became so popular. People could fly the airplanes of their youth, and they were not having to go out and compete with somebody's, Mark 24.
You see, the thing with me is when I go to a contest, and I used to go to quite a few contests and still do if COVID ever goes away. But when I go to a contest, I like to win as much as the next guy or place, most definitely. But if I don't, I'm not too upset about it because when I go on vacation, I go to have a good time, whether I win or lose. I'm there to fly the best I can with what I've got on a given day.
Len,
and I work with that.
Len, where I live,
yeah,
I go to a contest, I'm flying against 4 or 5 Nats champions, 3 or 4 world champions. I don't go there expecting to win, but I have a good time.
No, me neither.
But
Yeah,
I
we're ultimately.
I don't want to be in last place.
No, I get that. Nobody does. But on the other hand, really, let's think about it. If you're flying in a contest like that, you're not flying in a contest against them. You're flying in a contest against yourself to see how much you can better yourself. You're not going to beat Brett Buck. You're not going to beat David Fitzgerald. You're there to see how well you can do in the competition.
I want to see how hard I can push it. If I can
exactly. I agree.
Because you can push it in practice. That's what I love about contests.
True enough.
Is
you don't have that same feeling. You can't. You can't get that pressure.
I think I fly my best flights at a contest. If not, I put my best effort into that particular pattern because I can't replicate it in practice. In practice, if the wind comes up, I get a bad engine run. Okay, I'll just next flight. But in a contest, it's like this is it. This is the last official flight.
Can I tell you guys a neat little story? I was at Brodax about
As long as you do it without the accent.
Go ahead.
no A's. All right. But I was at Brodax about 4 years ago, and I was flying in profile stunt. Okay, now I've flown in profile stunt at Brodax a number of times and competitively. And I had what I believed was probably 2 of the very best stunt flights I have ever flown.
Mm.
And one of the judges came up to me and he said to me after my flight, he said, "That was a beautiful pattern, very well done." And I knew in my own heart and from what I saw of my flight that it was a really, really good pattern. And I had finished in profile stunt in years before in the top 3 a number of times. Okay. And on that day, at the end of the competition, I ended up 4th. But you know what? I was so happy. I walked away from the circle so happy that day because it didn't matter to me whether I had placed. It mattered to me that I knew in my heart that I had flown my best.
Right.
And that's all I cared about.
Nice to come home with that plaque.
You know what? I've got enough of them hanging in the basement that it doesn't matter anymore. I don't have any room for them hardly.
Going to the Northwest Regionals here, which is one of the big West Coast contests. Okay.
Yeah.
Bruce Perry used to come over all the time and fly there. It's where I first met Bruce. But anyway, you go there, and in expert class, you'll have Ted Fancher in his heyday, because this would be about 10, 15 years ago, Brett Buck, you'd have Bob Whiteley, in his heyday.
These are big names. Go ahead.
Yeah, and you'd have about 7 of them, and then you'd have Fitzgerald. You'd have about 7 of them. Plus, then you'd have guys like Gordon Delaney, who, as far as ones I've actually personally seen, he's the best stunt flyer that ever won the net, in my opinion. But that's because I didn't see Gene Schaefer flyer, but others. Nonetheless, so you got 3 or 4 of those that are always pushing those guys right from behind. Okay.
Most definitely.
It's hard to compete against those guys.
Most definitely.
Because all you can do is push them or try to push them and see where you come in relative to them.
Exactly. For sure.
Because I'm here to tell you, Fitzgerald is a killer out there on the field. When he flies, and so was Fancher and Brett Buck. I remember first being Brett Buck. Brett Buck was always coming in 3rd, 4th, 5th place. Brett Buck has gotten very good. Norm Whittle. There's another guy. You guys may not know Norm Whittle. Norm Whittle won the Nats as a junior or the senior with his own design, the Playmate. Or the Playboy, Playboy. That was his design. Mayfield copied it and said, I like this airplane. And he published it or something or other. Anyway, nonetheless, I derived great enjoyment out of my flying contest.
Most definitely.
Not that I was going to win. Once in a while, I'd do okay.
The deal is this. It's a pleasure to fly with these guys because they're so good and you can learn so much being around them.
Yeah. Well, and unlike when I was a kid, everybody was hiding everything they did.
Right.
That thing we did last week on corrected geometry, those guys knew about it back then, but did any of them ever tell anybody else?
Yeah, you had to hide that stuff when you're young, though, because but everyone found out because you went blind.
Oh, brother.
You guys, let me get your attention for a second, you guys. I'm going to close the live stream part of the program. We can continue on talking. So I want to
thank everybody on the live stream.
I want to thank everybody for showing up. I really appreciate it. It really makes the program, and it was great to have a new visitor, John Paris. If you're watching, thank you very much for coming in. Appreciate that new blood coming in. And want to remind everybody to like and subscribe and join our membership. That helps Sparky, and make sure you share as well. That way, the analytics of the channel grows. So thank you very much, everybody. Now tonight in review, we did talk about the landing gear mounting, and that was a really good discussion we had. And then we talked about expandable primer and then we talked about the electronics. And of course, the electronics, you always see the concurrent viewers go down from like 13, 14 concurrent viewers down to 8. It's just so funny about electric, but we talked about that, and then we talked about competing. So anyway, that's a wrap on that, and we're going to get back to this topic and other topics again next Monday. So please come back and join us again, and we'll see you then, same time, same channel, and talk to you later. And see you guys later. Bye-bye. Yeah. Oh, by the way, whoops. And I want to thank Philip Bailey for on the, he was the only one in the chat. So,
oh, gee.
Thank you for him holding that down. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.